I have a truly inspiring guest, Samantha Knibbs, a fitness, health, and wellness coach who has dedicated her life to helping busy moms achieve their health goals through personalized coaching, group classes, and transformative retreats. As the founder of SK Fitness, Samantha brings a unique approach to wellness, blending holistic health with practical strategies for real life. She's not just a coach, she's a mom and a wife who deeply understands the challenges of balancing family life with self-care. Samantha's mission is to empower women to reclaim their energy, eliminate pain, and live healthier, more balanced lives. Your journey with SK Fitness has inspired many busy moms striving to balance health, family, and personal growth. I want to dive into this fascinating world of women's fitness, the historical aspects, the challenges, the misconceptions, and the incredible transformations that you facilitate, Samantha. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here today.
You're welcome. I'd like to start looking at some of the history and the evolution of women in fitness. The role of women in fitness has undergone a significant transformation from being discouraged from exercising to becoming central figures in today's fitness evolution. I think this shift reflects the broader societal changes in the perception of women's physical capabilities and rights. In ancient times, as an example, in Sparta, women were encouraged to exercise to bear strong children, but this was more the exception than the rule. In the Victorian era, exercise for women was often discouraged or considered unladylike. Activities were limited to walking and light stretching or calisthenics, which were meant to enhance grace rather than strength. If we fast forward to the 20th century and the rise of the women's suffragette movement, that saw a slight shift with more women engaging in cycling and swimming, but fitness was still heavily gendered at that time, with the focus more on aesthetics rather than health. And then we had the 60s and 70s fitness revolution, which was spurred by figures like Lottie Burke and Jane Fonda, the rise of aerobics, and that began encouraging women to take more active roles in their fitness. And now today, women engage in all forms of fitness, from strength training, professional sports, and the growing acceptance of women in traditionally male-dominated fields like bodybuilding and powerlifting. How do you think the historical evolution of women's fitness has influenced the way women approach exercise today? And what lessons can we learn from this journey?
Yeah, really great question. So I love that health and fitness is super trendy right now. And it is so important to look after your health, but yeah, it totally has changed over time. I know a lot of clients either want to grow the glutes or don't want to because that was not known in the past to be sought after. But we encourage our clients to let go of limiting beliefs and societal pressures and do what makes us feel good, whatever that may be. There has been so much evolution of changes of the health and fitness industry, but I'm truly happy that it is more out there right now, that it encourages women to try anything, and that self-care is super trendy right now, which is so nice to see. But yeah, in the end, I try to encourage clients, do what you want to do, try to pass limiting beliefs and do what you want to do going forward.
In terms of addressing misconceptions in women's health and fitness, because despite advancements, many misconceptions I see still persist, which shape narratives in very limiting ways. And you talked about limiting belief systems. In your career and experience, what are some of the most damaging misconceptions you've encountered, and how do you help your clients overcome these myths?
Yeah, great question. So, a lot of my clients struggle with wanting to be a smaller version of themselves. It's so much body focus, and I try to thin out of that. Yes, it's good to have physical goals, and that's super important. But if we strive more looking at non scale victories, our increased energy, increased confidence, increased motivation, things like that, then that's going to really make us feel better and help us accomplish our goal. I did a goal setting call with my clients yesterday, and we talked a lot about emotional blocks, limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs. I used the analogy of when you think about your best friend, you think about all the amazing qualities they have, you like their laughter, they listen, and all these amazing things. You don't think about their body. No matter what shape they are, they're still your friend. So when we put that emphasis on ourselves, and I encourage my clients to be a friend to yourself and have that self-compassion, let's focus on those other qualities versus the body and focus on what it can do, like the strength, improved. What can you do? Are you able to run around with your kids a lot better? I know a lot of kids get discouraged with body image and everything like that. I'm trying to, as my daughter gets older, be that role model for her as best as I can. So not maybe say, hey, good job, or you look skinny in that outfit. Like I would never say that. It would more, hey, when you did that, you were so strong, like all that hard work that you did, and encourage that and focus on those non-scale victories. So a lot of mindset shifting and encouraging clients to have that self-compassion is truly important.
My sense is you're talking about the promise of empowerment. I think one of the most profound promises of fitness is empowerment, where it fosters confidence and self efficacy for women. Can you share a story of a client who has experienced a significant transformation in confidence and empowerment through your programs?
Yeah, to pick one, so many incredible stories. Yeah, let's go with my one client that I worked with today. Her transformation is so incredible. Even though she's still in this health and fitness journey, she catches herself when she does have those limiting beliefs. As soon as she says, oh, I can't, because she looks me in the eye like, oh no, and then has that realization, what can I do? The improved posture, the smile, even getting the husband to wake up a little bit early because he wants to go to the gym now. So it doesn't just impact the person itself, impacts everyone, the kids, living a healthier lifestyle, being that role model for them. I know I said the one example, but I had another client. The kiddo was coloring and they drew a picture of the family working out together. I thought that was so cool. Just such a healthy habit to represent versus something else. So many incredible stories, and the non-scale victories are so cool to see with each individual client.
It's so rewarding, isn't it? When you see your client moving up and standing tall because they've stepped up and taken responsibility. I want to touch on the health risks, challenges, the perils of overtraining and body image. While fitness improves health, and there's the promise of that, but the perils are overtraining and unrealistic body standards. How do you address the dangers of overtraining and body image issues in your coaching?
Yeah, that's something to keep in mind, especially last year I competed in worlds in bodybuilding and I kept showing up live in my private Facebook group. I'm like, this is an extreme sport, and I try to do it as healthy as possible. Yes, we do overtrain in that situation, and I emphasize this is not a lifestyle. A lot of my clients that I train with, let's look at lifestyle. We do a very holistic approach. I emphasize rest days just as important as your training days. That recovery, that self-care, that stretching routine, that holistic approach is super important. But when people have it in their heads that they want to look smaller or be this certain way in body focus, and when we shift away from that and being more what our body is capable of doing and those non-scale victories, we push away from overtraining as well. Now, do I have clients that run into that? Absolutely. Then it might need to sit down and chat over with, or there might be other underlying problems that we need to address.
The magic happens in recovery. I know from my training many years ago, when I was in Olympic weightlifting, I was always, oh, I got to do more and I've got to train harder and I've got to train more. In the 80s, 90s, that was the way to go. But I realized that your body can only take so much, even if you push the envelope. And the magic really does happen when you embody self care, nutrition, restorative rest. That's when the magic really happens. In terms of taboos around women's fitness, I don't know if this is a taboo. Aspects like menstruation and pregnancy, I don't know whether they remain as a taboo, but if they do, how would you approach these taboos in your coaching? And what is the importance of discussing them openly?
Yeah, there's definitely lots surrounding it. I know when I was pregnant with my daughter, I did get a lot of messages like, oh, should you be doing that? Is that safe? Your doctor and yourself work so closely together and they know your health. So definitely consult a doctor and chat any concerns that you may have. Overall, health and fitness, being active throughout pregnancy is super helpful. I worked out all the way up until my due date. I think I taught a class on my due date. I love it. And it actually did help my recovery process as well. Obviously, there's some things that we shouldn't be doing. So, modifying it in a certain way, I do provide ebooks for fit pregnancy from the first to third trimester and also for the fourth trimester for after baby as well. And easing back into it, yes, they say don't exercise until that amount of time after you've had your baby, but you can do movements. I know in my fourth trimester ebook, I talk a lot about breathing techniques, a little bit about moving the body, like cat cow on all fours, some super basic moves that still provide strength, getting yourself back into the gym. Within my ebooks, there's some that we definitely don't recommend, say laying on your stomach when you have a big belly. Yeah, don't do that. But there's lots of stuff that you can still do. Again, still focusing on what you can do versus what you can't do.
Where can people get those ebooks?
I'm SK Fitness on pretty much everything. I can share the links after as well. I have ebooks on my website that people can access.
I'll put that in the show notes. Do you have many clients who are more senior?
I mainly train 30 to about 60, typical range. So, yeah, my older clientele, they're still striving towards their health and fitness goals. Some of them are in my classes, some of them I train, but yeah, they're still training hard as well.
How do you support more senior women in your programs? Are there any particular strategies that you use to combat age related taboos?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start more like the menopausal range. That's a big clientele group that I have. So stressors super big during this time. Anything we can do to reduce stressors. So even HIIT training, I might recommend not to do that. HIIT training can be very beneficial. Premenopausal, I don't actually recommend it. Encouraging healthy fats. Sometimes people take that out. Intermittent fasting is one thing that I don't recommend for menopausal. Of course, if it works really well for you and it's a stress reducer, we sometimes have to decide like, is this more stressful or less stressful? Stress is super huge for that age range. As aging beyond that, keep up with the strength training. We want to prevent muscle loss, and the exercise might look a little bit different, modifications. My mom does a lot of my programs, my mother-in-law does my programs. There's still great ways you can still do an exercise. I always say challenge yourself at the best level that you can do, whatever that may be.
Yeah, it's so important. Strength training throughout your later years is just as important as in your younger years. Something you can continue to do. When I was in the industry, I used to see a lot of women just do the treadmill. They wouldn't touch weights. And this is way back in the 80s. And it's, oh no, I don't want to get too bulky. And there was all these misconceptions. Today, some of those misconceptions have been looked at and analysed, and the science doesn't support them anymore, which is great because there's the encouragement for women to do strength training to be able to offset muscle degeneration. I get the sense you are quite community based, and the way you're arranged is you're building supportive communities in your women centric fitness programs. Those often foster supportive communities that enhance the fitness experience. What role does community play in your coaching, and how do you cultivate an environment that uplifts every member?
Yeah, really good question. So I always say you are the sum of the five people you surround yourself with. If one of them could be a group or a community, and when you have such a positive, empowering group, you become part of that, and that becomes you. Just having that accountability partner or accountability group is key in helping you reach your health and fitness goals. If you're like, I'm meeting this person at the gym, you're less likely to sleep in because they're waiting for you. Creating that accountability group and sharing your goals out loud to the group. There's so many different techniques within that. I have a private Facebook group, and the amount, especially New Year, everyone's revving to go, which is super awesome. But the encouragement, the motivation, the empowerment between these women are absolutely incredible. We also run a few different events as well. We have a gala actually where it's a year celebration and we give out awards and the whole team comes together. We run retreats where it's more in person and group classes. They're super fun as well. Just that community and that support from each other is absolutely incredible.
I've been researching for the last year or so is the intersection and connection between community and immunity. When you look at certain societies, Ikaria in Greece or in Japan, where there is a very strong sense of community, there is that connective thread between people. It engenders a sense of immunity, not just physiological immunity. There are many other types of immunity as well. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. It's a big subject for another podcast. That's what I see happening in more of the unseen aspect of what you're doing is as you're building community and people have that connective thread between them. You have that Facebook group that can bring a sense of immunity. There's immunity from one's habits, immunity from one's behaviors. So I see that as a great thing you're doing and something that makes a difference. I see that the weight loss industry, I think we've spoken about it before, the recidivism rate is 95%, but it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Go figure, right? I talk about weight release as distinct from weight loss because the brain doesn't like to lose anything. But you release weight, you release psychic residue, and it could be trauma related, sexual abuse, forgiveness. In terms of navigating diet culture in fitness, the fitness industry intersects with diet culture, which can promote unhealthy eating habits. How do you address the influence of diet culture in your coaching? And what advice do you give to clients from a optimized, balanced approach to nutrition?
Yeah, really good question. My clientele is based on lifestyle change. We all still want to live life. We're mainly busy moms. So if there's a quote unquote diet that you're going to have, are you going to do that for the rest of your life? So we got to find ways to know how to eat when you go out, know how to eat when Christmas comes. Better choices, because there's always going to be the next holiday. There's always going to be company. There's always going to be baking cookies with your daughter and she wants you to try a bite. And creating those memories to learning to have that better relationship with food. You can have treat foods, but still reach your goals. So I always say 80-20 is my rule. So 80% healthy whole foods, 20% treat foods. Whether that's 20% of your day or 20% of your week, or maybe you save it for holidays, whatever that may be, it gives a little bit better of an approach to foods. I try to have a balance between carb, proteins, and fat. Even when I competed, I did the 80-20 rule. When you allow yourself some of those treats, if you have intolerance to things like that, I do recommend cutting those out. But most of the time, I encourage all food. My first competition, I did the strict dieting. I binged really bad after. Obviously, there's lots to go with that. Doesn't make you feel good. Few competitions after that, I did the 80-20 rule, allowing those treat foods and reversing out of it. Obviously, I enjoyed a treat meal right after competing, but it wasn't like indulge in everything I see. So way better mindset going into that, and also going back to limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs. When we work on our self-development or self-care and self-compassion, we'll overall make those more balanced food choices as well.
I remember years ago, friends of mine who were bodybuilders, the dietary requirements are off the charts. One guy I knew, he wouldn't even use toothpaste. I think it was the salt or something within the toothpaste because he didn't want to retain water. After the competition, it was chow down, burgers, pizza, let's go. You can't maintain 5-7% body fat throughout the year. I know some people do, and they might have those genetics. But for most people, especially for women under 10% or less than that, and continuing to scale down to lower percentages is quite dangerous. In terms of personal growth, because beyond physical health, I see fitness as a tool for personal growth because it fosters resilience and discipline. Can you describe how you use fitness as a pathway for personal growth in your coaching?
lifestyle. It's a very holistic approach. I always use the cupcake analogy. The cake part is your nutrition, the first most important part. The icing part is your workouts, second most important part. The sprinkles are like the supplements for the pretty little aesthetics, that last most important part. And then all on a plate, which is like your foundation. That's your mindset. That's your self-compassion. That's your self-development. And it just all works together. When we work out, those endorphins are released. We feel better. And when we have better strength, we might be able to pick up our kids a lot better without having that back pain, or be a little more independent, that we can carry the groceries without asking for help, which is super important to do. But you'll be able to do things that you want to do. I had one client, because of her fitness program, she was able to go on the monkey bars and play at the park with her kiddos and be strong enough. And creating those core memories is truly amazing. When we host our retreats, we dig at a deeper level and work on what is truly holding us back from reaching our health and fitness goals. What's going on there? Knowing that celebrating the little wins and the even big wins as well, but it just keeps circling, and it's like a really good upward spiral to overall have a better, healthy lifestyle.
Mindset is important for growth, discipline, accountability, all those things are important. I want to dive into the hope behind your mission. Every coach I've ever known has a vision for the future. What I sense from you, it's deeply personal. It's tied to the well-being of families and communities. What are your greatest hopes for the moms you coach, and how do these hopes influence your approach each day?
Yeah, so my mission is to build a community of healthier, stronger women that has self-confidence. Growing up, I had zero confidence, and it's still something that I work on every single day, to step outside of my comfort zone. I do so many different things, and I encourage that of my clients. We become that role model for our kids, and then that's going to be the next generation moving forward. I used to work in hospitals and I loved it, but I wanted to help people before they got sick, help people before they were physically incapable of doing something, but encourage and empower them to be that strong person for themselves. I always say that we have a secret sauce. SK Fitness has a secret sauce, and it's you are the one that is going to do it. If I can create strategies, guides, protocols to help these individuals create a stronger identity for themselves, overall we'll be creating that more empowering community, and that's a huge goal of mine.
Would you agree that prevention is the cure?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about dreams and long-term impact. I also get the sense beyond daily coaching, there are long-term dreams that drive your goals. I want to ask you, what are some of your long-term dreams for SK Fitness, and what impact do you hope to have on the community of busy mums?
Yeah, so there's a few things. One is I'm all online, which is awesome, that I can impact so many people, but I do host a few different events throughout the year. Either one, have a studio that I can bring people to and having that in-person community, and have my workout spaces there and have different events there, maybe host my gala there and build a place of my own. That's super big. I do host internet or retreats. I have done 2 local in the past, and this year we are doing 1 internationally. I wanted to continue doing that yearly, have big international retreats from people all over the world, and still host one locally, which could still be internationally for some people. But yeah, just striving to build those retreats even bigger, having that community where we can travel all to a place, and sometimes just having the outside noise shut off to really focus and internalize and work on our self-compassion and our self-development, with still having the health and fitness aspect in that, in such an amazing place. I know we're leaving 7 weeks to Nicaragua. I'm so excited for that, but I want to continue to grow those even bigger and bigger every year.
I saw that on your website, and we'll talk about that in a second. In your everyday life, a day in the life of Samantha, understanding your daily routines can reveal much about your dedication. Can you walk us through a typical day in your life, highlighting the routines that keep you grounded and energized?
Morning routine is so important. Waking up when the alarm goes off, but that also includes having a good nighttime routine so you can have a good daytime routine. I always have 5 to 10 minutes to myself. I love to do gratitude journaling in the morning, goal setting journaling in the morning. I light candles, turn on meditation music, and be present in the moment. I get up a little bit earlier to have this little moment to myself, set my goals, get that structured for the day. When my husband's home, I go to the gym first thing in the morning. I try to do this all before my daughter wakes up. I try to do that self-care and take care of myself first. I always use the airplane analogy. Put on your face mask first. If you don't and you pass out, you're not going to be able to help anyone. I know when I do this, I show up way better for my family. When my daughter gets up, luckily she does sleep in, so I get a lot of time to do all this for myself. I can be present with her and be very interactive with her. Be a better mom, be a better wife. So morning routine is super important. My daughter does go to daycare, so I do drop her off. Then it's a long work session, and I pick her back up and we hang out, and whatever that may be. It might be jumping on the trampoline, it might be movement, it might be taking the dogs for a walk, anything to stay active. If I don't teach classes in the evening, usually the evenings are a little bit more chill and relaxed. That's time for myself and my husband. If we're not doing a home project, which we do lots of, maybe a movie night. We're not very good at doing movie nights. We take 3 days to watch a movie because I do shut off early to go to bed early. Yeah, lots of different things. I could go into a lot more detail, but just having that time for myself first thing in the morning is super key.
To characterize what you're saying, which is really powerful, is you are moving into the day as distinct from the day moving into you. When you move into the day with intention and purpose, you are going to have many more constructive resources, and you're balancing your physiology, you're balancing your mind. So not only will you have a good balance, but your approach will be much more tailored as you move into the day. It's a very important message for many people out there because it's not selfish at all. It's a productive thing to do, to invest in yourself first so that you can give to others. If you're running on empty, you have no gas in the tank. How can you give? How can you help others? It's a false economy. Let's move on to navigating fears, because every successful coach that I've spoken to, I've been a coach and had my fears, hopes, and dreams, and there are fears that challenge oneself. What are some fears you've encountered on your journey as a coach, and how have you learned to navigate them?
Fears can also be what I call limiting beliefs. That fear of judgment, what is others going to think of me? Those thoughts do come in. So when I was working at the hospital and I was doing my personal training on the side and I wanted to move fully to personal training, there's always questions coming at me. It's, oh, you have your safe job. This isn't going to work. Those judgments. But again, when we work on that self-care, taking that time for yourself and listening to those limiting beliefs, and it might be coming from people, it might be coming from ourselves, just reframing that and changing it into an empowering belief. I always say it's what I think about me is what's important. I always say you're looking at buying a new vehicle and it's like this red Ford Bronco. You really want this Ford Bronco and you're looking at it everywhere and you're doing the research. All of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. It's driving around, you start noticing it. You're like, was there this many Ford Broncos before? I don't think so. But it basically is a light switch you turn on your brain that helps you be more aware of everything. So when you are starting to talk better to yourself, when you say your goals out loud, when you switch more from a negative mentality to a positive mentality, that light switch turns on any more opportunities. Having that community is so important. You start seeing things in a different way. So yeah, I feel like doing a limiting to empowering belief work task. We actually just did a 4-step process in my call yesterday. These limiting beliefs pop up, but it's just knowing how to attack them and just be like, nope, you don't exist. What can we do to move forward?
First, you have to recognize what that limiting belief is. You're talking about a red Bronco because your brain gets on the frequency of it. So you become much more frequency based and you start recognizing those cars. If you recognize the limiting belief, then you can reflect on it. Once you reflect on it, you can start to reset that belief and then rebuild it and resolve it. But you have to recognize it first. That takes practice. You've got to instruct your faculty to do that. Otherwise, something is operating you. Instead of becoming conscious of self, you become self conscious. Exposing one's vulnerability, which takes a lot in terms of surrender, facing your shadow. Otherwise, you can't progress in life. Our past really shapes who we become, and our early experiences plant the seeds of passion and purpose. And when we reflect on these, that can reveal the foundation of our dedication. Were there any formative experiences in your early life that influenced your decision to pursue a career in wellness and coaching, and how do they continue to inspire you?
I've always been active growing up. My mom was that person for me and just living that lifestyle so naturally. Either she had the workout videos and I would follow those too. She was that role model for me. In high school, I would get a group of girls, be like, hey, let's all work out together. Let's do this video. I didn't even recognize that I was being that personal trainer, that coach until way after. So I got the group of girls together. We followed the workout, kicked each other's butts, had that sense of community. And in college, hey, I'll work out with you. Let's work out together. So got again a group of people to come together to work out. And it was actually my roommate. She's like, hey, there's this personal training course. Would you want to do it? Because we were in the path to go for physio school and I did become a physio assistant and then got my degree. But I was like, what's this thing to do? I was like, sure, let's do it. So I did it, fell in love with it, and be like, hey, wait, I've been doing this whole time. So let's actually get certified. Let's actually do this. And then it just has evolved ever since. But definitely does stem back to having that good, healthy role model. And again, wanting to provide that for my daughter as well. And I know my mom instilled a lot of confidence within myself because she came from living homeless on the street. She came from Switzerland and just learning from her and the lifestyle that she lived and the confidence that she had is truly inspiring and definitely was a big impact for myself.
Beautiful. I find we try to correct what the last generation couldn't get to.
One thing that my mom, she does mention to me, she has done the work to become a better version of herself and pass that on to me, and I've been able to build and grow from that. I've definitely learned a lot from her, and hopefully I can do the same for my daughter and help her become a better version of herself.
I also get the sense you have a vision for growth, not just professionally, but personally. I see that the vision includes learning, aligning, evolving, and adapting to new challenges and opportunities. How do you envision your personal and professional growth in the coming years? And what steps are you taking to align with this vision?
Yeah, so every morning in my goal journal, I always say that I'm the best wife, I'm the best mom, I'm the best personal trainer. Those are my three things that I really strive every day for. Learning is super, super huge. Taking a new course, it's actually called Bungee Fitness that I'll be bringing to our town. Maybe going back to school, I don't know. There's lots on the works for that. But my husband definitely stands beside me every step of the way, so supportive, which is awesome. Would love to be in a place that we could go to these retreats internationally and take the whole family. That would be really cool to do. Actually, my daughter is coming to Nicaragua with us. Grandparents are coming, babysitters are coming, and she's going to be joining us. She actually came to our first few local retreats, and that community and my family is super important. My husband, he comes to my gala this weekend. We're doing a celebration, so very involved. They're very intertwined. Both impact keeping all three parties very close to my heart.
It's a wonderful thing to do. The whole family is part of the ripple effect. In terms of the legacy that you wish to leave, legacy is the impact that you leave behind, the lasting impression that continues even after your direct involvement ends. For a wellness coach, this means transforming lives, reshaping and reframing perspectives on health. Have you ever thought about what kind of legacy you hope to leave through your work with SK Fitness? And how do you want to be remembered by the moms and families you've helped?
Really good question. I love the legacy just has such a deeper meaning. I hear a lot from my clients that I'm authentic and I really try to instill that and practice what I preach. I have a 2-year-old. She has temper tantrums. These are the things that are happening right now and just showing that it can be done. If you have a goal that you want to do, you can do it. year and a half postpartum, I competed on the world stage in my bodybuilding federation. If your goal is to do something else, but if you set your mind to something and you have that goal, you can accomplish that. And again, being that example that it can be done, I really strive. I love giving myself big goals and challenge myself to accomplish them and showing my clients that they can do that as well. And going through the everyday process of being that busy mom that, yeah, it can be done, and share that with my community and as many people as I can.
Growth only happens at the threshold of your comfort zone.
Instead of saying the sky's your limit, I always say your vision's your limit. You put that cap on it yourself. So whatever your vision is, and stepping outside the comfort zone. I think Rob Dial, he does a podcast, and he always says it's like a game in life. You level up to the next level, get faced with a problem, and you're in that comfort zone and you push past that and go to the next level. There's always room for learning and growth. One empowering belief I like to live by is I'm on a continuous health and fitness journey that never ends, or I'm on a continuous self-development journey that never ends. And that's truly what I want to live by.
It's a refining journey. You either elevate or you evaporate. As you age, you need to refine and reframe how you apply self-care to your body, especially for women, because men go through a couple of changes throughout their lifetime. One is puberty or puberty, and maybe a midlife crisis, but women go through many changes. I want to talk about the balance between family and self-care. Balancing family life with self-care for many is seen as a constant struggle. And achieving this balance is crucial for sustained well-being. For someone like yourself who is in the industry, you're a wife, a mother, this balance isn't an academic pursuit. It's not theory. It's a daily practice, as you alluded to. Your kids have temper tantrums. You've got to deal with that. But how do you personally navigate the balance between family obligations and self-care? And the second part is, how do you guide your clients to find their equilibrium?
I feel like it's going to be forever changing. And you got to keep trying until you find something that works. If something changes, you got to redo it and keep trying again. You have your four burners on a stove, and it's like your life. You got your career, your personal, your health and fitness, your family. And if you have all burners maxed out at once, you're going to get burnt out. Last year, my health and fitness and personal was ramped up for my competition. I put everything and anything into that. So I did have to turn some of my burners down. But the key part is having communication with your loved ones, your family, and just keep chatting. We had date night this night. Is that good enough? Or do we need to schedule in 2 more date nights? Have that conversation back and forth. If we find that we're getting aggravated with each other, we need to figure something out. It's having that conversation, and it's teamwork. We got to bounce back and forth. My husband took my daughter to daycare. It was tag her in. It's just be very open with that communication with yourself and with your significant other and your family. I don't know if I have the balance yet, because my daughter, every week's a new week. We're like, oh my gosh, she doesn't like this for this meal. So we're always have to navigate, but as best as we can, have as much balance as we can. I think communication is super, super important.
Absolutely. You never achieve perfect equilibrium, perfect balance. You have to correct and then recorrect and then align and realign. It's an ongoing journey. There is no such thing as perfect balance. In terms of the power of mindset shifts, I see that as a cornerstone of sustainable transformation. For busy moms, shifting their mindset could mean the difference between seeing wellness as an additional burden or embracing it as a vital part of their lives. Can you share a story of a client whose mindset shift led to a significant breakthrough in their wellness journey, and what role did you play in facilitating that shift?
I have this one client that comes to mind with that question. Busy moms don't have the time to work out. I more try to see what is going on. They're like, I went for a walk with my daughter and I couldn't get my workout in. I was like, what is a walk? There's a rock on the ground. Your daughter goes and picks it up. So you squat down to look at the rock, and then you squat back up and lift up your daughter onto the monkey. So you're actually exercising and being active at that time. And if your goal is to be more active and be there for your family, you are already doing that. I like to instill it with the everyday tasks that we do. There's a fun challenge, and my daughter's just getting to this point. Every time they say "mummy," do a squat. And it's just a fun way, like every time they call your name, do a squat. And I know my daughter, she's just starting to talk right now. So it's "mummy." I was like, oh boy, maybe I should have held my breath when I told all my clients that they should do the challenge. But it might not be that traditional hour in the gym or whatever that may be. Another scenario, client was like, I'm so sorry I didn't get my workout. I was all day skiing with my family. I was like, that's a workout, and you were with your family. That's incredible. That's your goal. That's what you want to do, is become a stronger version of yourself for your family. Sometimes reframing what actually is exercise can be super important, and just giving that little bit of clarity can be helpful.
Small steps you take each day that eventually climbs the mountain. You're going to look at that mountain and go, I'm never going to reach the peak. No, you won't if you adopt that attitude. It doesn't have to be in the traditional, I've got to get to the gym and do an hour. And anyway, the whole thing of the hour workout was created by accountants, because people get billed by the hour. Physiologically, the body responds to intensive exercise within 46 minutes. Everything else is addition after that. We've got to change the way we perceive and interpret fitness and what it actually means. It doesn't mean going to a gym where there's lots of shiny equipment, people on treadmills and the machines. There are so many innovative ways, like getting out in nature, your commitment to continuous learning and alignment to that learning. In a field that is ever evolving, staying informed is essential, and your certifications, your continuous education, to me demonstrates a commitment to growth, which directly benefits your clients by keeping your approach and your methods current and effective. How has your ongoing education and the alignment to that education in fitness and nutrition and health shaped the way you design programs and challenges for your clients, particularly busy mums?
Yeah, really good question. So there's so many courses that I've taken, but recently over the years, it's really less like I was donating blood yesterday and I was talking to the nurse there. She's, what's the workout time frame? I was like, it's not so much that, it's more nutrition. She's like, what's the one thing? I go back to mindset. A lot of the education now that we are doing is different things on mental health and well-being. We all know move more is going to be helpful. We know that vegetables are good for us, but if we have a block, we're not going to have that vegetable or whatever that may be. So lots of my education has been more around mental health, self-care. Obviously, so much on nutrition, and theirs has been this diet, that diet, and keeping up to date is super important. I go back to always having that balanced lifestyle. I always say that if we have the first best thing, the second best thing, and the third best thing, but if the first best thing, you're like, I will never be able to do that with my lifestyle, and the third best thing works great for you, then that's your best thing. Go ahead and do that. Now, I always challenge people, trial something. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You'll never know if you don't try. With recent education, there hasn't been too much that I would change. It's focusing back to mindset.
Mindset is important. We can always say, what is the one thing? Different components of fitness, and there are different components of health, and that need to be integrated in order to get to that one thing. So you can't answer the question like saying, well, what's the one thing? Is it stretching? Is it aerobics? Is it the principle of overload? It's all those things. But mindset has to be one of the cornerstones of health, fitness, and well-being. In terms of sustainability in wellness routines, sustainability means creating habits that last a lifetime, because many people move from a habit and flare into an initiative, but they get reclaimed by habits. We see this at New Year's. I'm going to join the gym. I'm going to work out. I'm going to give up smoking. But they get reclaimed by habit. Now, if you've got a habit of 30 years, the potency and power of that habit is going to be much stronger than the initiative you're taking. So many people go into an over and under compensation. They get into that rocker bar between habit and initiative. So they become much more promiscuous. They'll try this routine, this trainer, this diet. And 9 times out of 10, which is what the diet industry wants you to be part of, is to be part of that habitual living where you flare into that initiative and get reclaimed by habit. So you get trapped in that cycle. It's like you have one foot nailed to the floor and you're going round in circles. For many busy mums, starting and maintaining these routines can be daunting without the right support and strategies. What are the key elements of a sustainable wellness routine that you emphasize in your coaching? I know you've mentioned mindset. And why are these elements particularly important for busy mums? I'm trying to hone in more on the busy mum demographic here.
Yeah, so when people come into any of my programs, that self-change is huge. And when you work on yourself throughout, so that's foundation. So let's say we got past that. What are we going to do? Specifically, whatever's maintainable for that person, that's going to look very different for everyone. 3 to 5 days a week is typically super beneficial. Everyone's going to be different. All my programs offer a home program version and a gym version. The home program is just dumbbells and body weight. I don't like to add in a lot of extra because you can get something done while the kiddo's napping or while they're hanging out beside you. That's what I would recommend. Nutrition wise, having something together as a full family is super important as well. I don't change up my nutrition too much. We had burgers yesterday, so I just was a little bit more self-conscious of what am I going to have on the bun? What are all the extras going to be? Am I going to have a side salad? I eat salads and vegetables a decent amount. My daughter eats salad. I don't think I've ever seen a kid that, and I was like, sure. I cut it up one day. I'm like, I don't know if she'll eat it. Put a little bit of dressing on it. She ate it. I was like, no way. And I believe it's because she sees me doing that. I was like, you really like that? Being that role model, again, going back to that. But sustainability is going to be different for everyone. So if it is 3 days a week, let's do that 3 days a week. If it's 4 days a week plus a walk, let's do that. With everyone having their different lifestyles, as long as there's a balance and some sort of movement and getting those steps in, that's all important as well.
A really interesting piece of research is to look at brain chemistry, whether a person is more dopamine based or more serotonin based, because the types of activities, the types of foods, the types of entertainment are very different for that particular emotional baseline. I mean, we all have those neurotransmitters, but each person leans more one way than the other. Some people love HIIT training, martial arts and running. They want to eat steak. They're much more dopamine based. If you said to them, hey, do some meditation, they're like, get out of here. Whereas the serotonin type personality is more about Tai Chi, going for a walk in the park, doing yoga, Pilates. When you orient your programs and dietary requirements based on their brain chemistry, it affects the physiology and neurology in significant ways. Then you're assaying, you're measuring, not exactly, but to a certain degree, how that person is arranged. And your program you design for them can be around that particular proclivity. But someone who is serotonin based, if you give them high intensity exercise, their physiology can get anxious. It creates inflammation, cortisol. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole, but I just wanted to put that on your radar because it's a huge subject. It's important research. And it might be something you may want to look into. Let's talk retreats, because retreats offer a focused and immersive experience that can rejuvenate, can inspire. For mums and for others, they provide a rare opportunity to step away from daily responsibilities and concentrate much more on mindset and their well-being. What inspired you to incorporate retreats into your coaching model, and what unique benefits do they provide for busy mums seeking holistic health?
I love nature. I love outdoors. And I always envisioned, was it in 2019? It was right before COVID. I took my mom on a yoga retreat to Bali. It was just so cool because you're stepping outside of your everyday life. And I'm like, I'm going to do this one day. And that was what I wanted to strive to do because I'm like, this is so good. I ran 12-week transformation challenges. What we learn in there and the sessions that we do, I wanted to bring those sessions to retreats and include, say, let's do horseback riding because that's a little bit out of some people's comfort zone, or let's do a hike a mountain because that's super challenging and we can overcome a lot of things that way. It's just evolved. The last few years we did the weekend retreat locally. We do horseback riding, hikes, yoga, meditation. I have a yoga instructor that comes along with me. We do mindset sessions, workouts, and work on emotional blocks, having that disconnect from our everyday life so we can really sit down and tune in and not have all that busy noise is super important. As part of my goal, when I was in Bali, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm like, we need to take this internationally. So we are doing a full week retreat in Nicaragua. We're doing a few different activities. We are going to be doing a hiking tour. There's surfing. I had a call last night with our group and I was like, who's all going to try surfing? And one of the clients was like, I can't. And it's just because as soon as she said I can't, she knew I was looking at her. And I'm like, it can look different. Maybe we're just paddling on the surfboard, but you never know if you don't try. Again, overcoming those limiting beliefs and just give it a try. It's super fun. Having that disconnect from that busy world is very important. But yeah, we're all excited for Nicaragua.
Why Nicaragua?
It just happened. My husband, back in his party years, he went with a group and he's, oh, you should message him. He might have some information of where to go. So I did message him and he's actually have a sister company that helps with retreats. So I like, oh, tell me all about it. So he's here, check this one out. It's Nicaragua. How do you like the view and everything? And it was like a video of the place we're staying at, beachfront on the side of the hill. And I was like, this is where we're going. This is incredible. And I was just so excited. I was like, thank you, Grant, for showing me him. It just all worked out. But yeah, we're very excited. And it, just came up.
The stars aligned.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of judgment, I see in many fitness spaces, the fear of judgment can hold people back. SK Fitness fosters a community grounded in acceptance where every individual feels safe to grow and thrive. How do you cultivate a judgment-free environment at SK Fitness, and what impact does this have on the success and well-being of your clients?
Good question. There has been no judgment, which is so nice. I emphasize that everyone's on their individual journey. We can learn so much from everyone. I learn so much from my clients as well. And when they encourage other people, it's just so rewarding. There hasn't been judgment there, but we have a few facilitators throughout the group. I feel like when we are that role model and we provide encouragement, we've never had any judgment within the space. But we also acknowledge that we do have our own internal judgments. We look at how to work past that. Everyone in the Facebook group, they're just amazing. And of course, in group settings, there's always going to be a little bit about that. But again, we're all there for our individual journey.
You're back to mindset again, aren't you? We're all fallible. I recognize when I have judgment, I go into the observer mode, into the compassionate witness, so I can view it and not be attached to it. Judgment doesn't have judgment on itself. It's the story we create and the perception that we have about that story and the conclusion we arrive at. That happens in a nanosecond. So we've got to recognize that first. That's why mindset is important. Striving for balance and not perfection. Because I see this as another thing in the industry where the pursuit of a perfect life is overwhelming. But striving for balance is a much more achievable and fulfilling goal. And I see you encourage clients to embrace consistency and flexibility, which leads to sustainable growth. How do you guide your clients away from perfectionism and towards a balanced lifestyle? And why is this shift important for long-term wellness?
There's definitely a lot of perfectionists in the group, and I definitely know I can be as well. That can be a lot from fear of failure, that a person might not try because they're scared to fail. But I always say, you never know if you don't try. Even just a set of weights, you're like, okay, I've been doing 5 pounds. Oh, I wonder if I can do a little bit more. When you're having that internal conversation, try and be open. Oh, yeah, I couldn't lift that. And then lots of times they're like, oh, I was able to lift that. That's awesome. But I'm very open with my clients. So if there's times that I'm like, oh my gosh, this was a gong show yesterday, and being very real, sometimes it might not work out, but I always say that there's so much like those quote unquote failures, we learn so much from them. If we meal prep this way and it was like Sunday we did a bulk thing and it ended up stressing us out, okay, that doesn't work for you. But now we know what is something else that we can do. We can't learn if we don't try. I really demonstrate that with my clients, or hey, I did this and it did not work out. Fasted workouts in the morning. I have done them in the past because of convenience. Yes, there's some benefits with it. Pre-baby, love doing them. When I got pregnant, couldn't do them. I'm like, I need to eat. And then there was times I'm like, I can't eat because I don't feel good. And then after baby and I was nursing, I was like, okay, now I have to have breakfast first thing in the morning. So there's just so many changes, but I had to trial it to see what would work. And I've learned every single time at different phases of my life that, oh yeah, this does work. Oh, this doesn't work. I feel like it's going to continue that way throughout the whole time my daughter grows up, after she leaves.
Failure is an opportunity to learn, but we're so scared of it. It's where you learn and align to what you've learned and make it part of your basic constitution. You can make mistakes and you think there's going to be a huge cost to them. But I ask myself this question: what can I learn from that particular situation? I never look at it as a failure. I look at it as an opportunity to learn and align and make it part of my basic constitution. The essence of SK Fitness, I see there's a mission to uplift, motivate, and support each client on their journey towards a better self. This mission that you're on is evident in every program, every class, every retreat that you offer. Can you elaborate briefly on how the SK Fitness mission shapes your approach to coaching and community building, and how do you see it evolving in the future?
Yeah, there's so many ways that we do uplift. So one is that community within the Facebook group. We have a workout app that every time they complete a PR, it gives that little bit of encouragement, celebrating those wins. Every Tuesday night, we have a community Zoom call. We go through, hey, let's all share our wins here. Let's chat and see what your wins were. At the end, just having a space for any questions that people may have. And as it evolves in the future, obviously, I'm still learning and growing. Everything that we offer, just making it better. And we always ask for clients' feedback, what we can do to make it better. There's some things that we try, we're like, that did not work. For example, we just switched over a 12-week program from an 8-week program. And I messaged my tech team, let's try this. That did not work. Let's revamp this because that was chaotic. I did not like that. But I've been training for 11 years and I still sometimes need to get changed or improved. Anytime there's an opportunity to do that, I'm always open for that.
Beautiful. Samantha, it's been inspiring to hear how you're transforming the lives of busy moms through SK Fitness, empowering them to lead healthier, more balanced lives. I see your work is truly making a difference. Before we wrap up, where can people find you? What final piece of advice would you offer to listeners who are looking to embark on their fitness journey?
People can find me at SK Fitness. My website, Instagram is Sam_SK Fitness. Pretty much everywhere else is SK Fitness. Now, as per advice, again, thank you so much for allowing me to speak on this platform. I really appreciate that. There's just knowing that you can. And I know that's super general and super big, but you are the secret sauce. If you don't have the belief in yourself, finding an accountability partner or a group for support might be what you need to get started, and knowing that fitness is in all aspects of your life. It might not just be the traditional gym. Like you said, we might not like to do it a certain way. You might do it another way. So whatever works best for you. If you don't have the belief in yourself, I know I do. Thank you so much for having me on today's call.
You're most welcome. Something I say to my clients is even if you don't have that belief, I will hold that belief for you. It's holding that space for them without judgment. Your work is making a real difference in the lives of so many moms and so many women. I'm grateful for the wisdom and the motivation that you've brought to our listeners. And I want to wish you continued success with SK Fitness and all your future endeavors.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.